Welcome to a new Team CGC 9.8 video, and really excited for kind of today's topic because after yesterday unboxing a $2,000 CGC 9.8 comic, I think it's probably as good of a time as ever to go over kind of how I can afford all this stuff and what I do for a living. And I think on other channels too, these videos have kind of done pretty well, I think, on similar channels to mine. So I think, it's worth doing. It seems like people kind of would want to know. So, now I'm 34 years old now. So, in the long and short of it in a nutshell is how I got here is saving and investing for about 15 years at this point. And, just every check, saving some money, investing in the stock market. And I kind of started doing that on a small basis when I was kind of 17 or 18. And then really started to kind of add another level to it. I think when I read a book called The Wealthy Barber, which is basically a barber, and there's like 4 people in his barber shop, and they all, at the beginning, they find out he's a millionaire, and then they're all surprised because he's just a barber, and he kind of explains how to invest and how compound interest works. And he calls pay yourself first, where once you get your check, right away you take some money, you put it away in a savings. So that's kind of paying yourself first, and that's kind of a basic saving concept. And then compound interest is, like Einstein said, it's like the 8th wonder of the world. I think it is. I forget the exact quote, but compound interest is math. It works. It kind of takes a long time to start working, but it works. So, long and the short of it, saving and investing for the past 15 years. I think in the last year I haven't done that because I've kind of switched my mentality because I've reached a point, I believe. But I always kind of recommend to always have the right, I call them heroes in life. Like, they're more typically known as like role models, but I don't like role models as much because it's like you don't want to model yourself exactly after someone. Like, you still got to be you, but if you have the right heroes, you're going to turn out like a really, good person. Like for me, my heroes are Peter Lynch and Warren Buffett for saving and on the investing side of things, I would say. I've read a lot of books. 2 of the main books by Peter Lynch, and Warren Buffett, read books by him. I got it's the Berkshire Hathaway shareholder letters here. Warren Buffett's the CEO of Berkshire Hathaway. So from 1965 up to 2013, these ones, he wrote a letter every year. A lot of like really good business insights in this book. But yeah, my investing philosophy kind of comes from them too, Peter Lynch and Warren Buffett. But I really love Benjamin Franklin, who's I read his biography, the Walter Isaacson biography is really good, Benjamin Franklin. He's kind of the originator of like saving and thrift and that concept of like, you save money now and like you can get to a better spot later in life. Like it kind of takes some sacrifice in the moment. And Benjamin Franklin was sort of one of the originators of that, and he was a scientist too, like a kind of a practical scientist. He did a lot of experiments. He loved to like sail in between England and the United States because he was a founding father. So he was really important for that because he loved sailing so much. He was really had that British connection. He was really important for that. So Benjamin Franklin, Todd McFarlane is honestly the guy started Spawn. It's still going. He's has more money than he'll ever need in life, and for doing what he loves, making art and drawing and stuff. And I think at that time when he started Spawn and his like toy company and all that, you might have thought that, you just work at Marvel for the rest of your life, you're set. Like, why would you take that risk? So really respect him for that, I think. And last biography I really loved was the Steve Jobs one. So Steve Jobs biography, I really recommend. I recommend biographies, like any biography of someone that you think is interesting. And I always recommend to kind of go for the top, like look for the best of someone that has done something throughout. If you're into science and physics, like read the Einstein biography, and like the Max Planck biography or something. Like all these other like big physicists or whatever it might be. But I think if you have the right heroes or role models in life, if you want to call them that, that'll really help you out. So I think for me, those kind of 4 or 5 guys right there. For like what I'm doing for a living now is basically this channel. I'm at the point where, about a year and a half ago, I essentially stopped working. kind of normal jobs type of thing. And yeah, that has a lot to do with my investments and how they've worked out. And again, that 15 years before that, really kind of being disciplined. And one thing, I think I got some other rules here, but, discipline is underrated, I think. Like, it's really rare that you're going to be the guy that's going to have, like, the best idea and, like, you're going to start the next Facebook and just have tons of money and have the lifestyle and everything. Maybe that'll happen to you, but it didn't really happen to me, and I was working kind of normal jobs, and, I did work at TD Bank outside of university. So right after university, worked at TD Bank for a couple years. But all through university, really hard worker, I worked service jobs, restaurants, bartending. And I think, the good advice is that those bartending service jobs while you're going to school, if you're a young person watching, are really good jobs to have. And if you're not into the lifestyle, which I never was, I never got, drank too much or anything like that, I was able to kind of separate the two, and I saved a lot of money during that time and bought a lot of stocks, and so glad I did. So, but discipline is underrated. Learn to say no every now and then. You don't have to just say yes to everything your friends say and this and that. Learn to say no sometimes, and usually those no's are like a couple $100 in your pocket for the most part. Just in reality. So my kind of, I think I haven't saved up a crazy amount of money or anything, but I like to live really simple. I have a really kind of basic apartment. I've never bought a house. I'm 34, I've never bought a house. I'm a big, like, minimalism type person. I don't really care too much about where I live, and I kind of like to have everything sort of close to me, and I'm in a 1-bedroom apartment essentially, and never bought a house. I always just like the idea of just piling up more cash and having that liquidity, which is always really good. I think about the stock market is it gives you that freedom where, if you have an idea or, you could sell some stocks right away. Whereas if you were in a house, a lot of times people have a tough time saving $10,000, $20,000, $30,000 when they're making a mortgage payment at the same time, kind of thing. Whereas, I live in a cheap apartment and it's like one payment a month, no maintenance, no anything like that. So from that perspective, I think it's kind of pretty efficient, but that's a personal choice. For me, like, minimalism and living simply is just a personal choice, basically. So got 3 tips here that I kind of recommend to just, I'm not even saying get ahead, but just in life, I think these 3 things have really helped me out. So first thing is reading books and talking to people. Like, this is going to sound really basic, but I recommend biographies of people that you're really interested in. That's what I did, and also read, a lot of technical kind of stock market books, because that's what I was really interested in my early 20s kind of thing. But totally recommend biographies, and talk to people in fields you're interested in. And I think for me, this is probably one of the things that I need to get better at still. Just communicating to people more, and, in all the fields I'm interested in. And I know for the stock market, there are quite a few people I communicate with online throughout the years, and just from forums and doing research and things like that. And that's really helped me out, because, you got to pick and choose too. You'll get better at once you get more knowledgeable on whatever subject you want to be really interested in. You'll learn to talk to the right people and maybe not talk to some people. But read books. Rule number 2 here, always save money while you're thinking of, like, ideas and your interests. And, like Steve Jobs says, you basically in life, you just want to find what you love. So if you don't know what you love, just spend every day trying to find it. And then once you find it, then you can kind of, go after your dreams and have a bit more of a better perspective on how to move forward. But while you're doing that, personally, I think saving money while you're doing that is really important, because once that good idea clicks in, you're going to have the cash to kind of do it. And just on top of that, I think it's a better way to kind of live your life, to have a lot of cash, not have to worry about money week to week kind of thing. And for me, that's a better way to live than kind of the, just work in the rat race 9 to 5 and going kind of paycheck to paycheck, I would say. last thing is, like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. So you got to kind of think long term, which I think is a bit of a cliche. But I think anything in life, any like good thing or idea kind of takes like at least 3 to 5 years from like initial thought to like even like inception, and like sometimes even longer than 5 years for the whole idea to really work out. The stock market's really like that. Like, if you can buy really good stock and hold on to it for like 5 or 6 years, like after 5 years is when you really start to, like in my experience, that's what really happened to me, is buying a really good stock and holding it for like not even trading it at all, just and buying more as it went up. And then after 5 or 6 years of holding it and my initial position being so low, and then the stock just is really still doing well to this day. So, and yeah, so the stock market is a microcosm of that. You know, anything takes at least 3 to 5 years of discipline, whether it's saving, whether it's, you know, if you want to be an artist, you get 3 to 5 years of just really producing a lot of art that you could either sell or get out there for a portfolio. You know, like anything in life is going to take 3 to 5 years. So it's, you know, you don't want to expect too much in like the first month and get all frustrated and things like that. And I'm kind of taking that approach with this channel too, where, you know, we're 4 or 5 months in now, and I'm not really expecting too much at all at the beginning. I'm just trying to be really consistent with the content and just trying to kind of share my passion through the camera, because yeah, I was buying all these 9.8s, and I'm like, you know what? I just got to make a channel and start talking about these things because they're so cool. So yeah, during that 3 to 5 years, it's a lot of like saving, working hard, discipline, which is like really boring, unless you just got the best idea ever and you have got big Silicon Valley connections or something. So want to get like a little practical here, I guess, because you know, for me, I think a lot of people, if you're just a beginner, and I think, you know, for me, it's kind of at the beginning, you're either thinking about either stock market or real estate. If you're kind of, you know, you're a hard worker, maybe you have a decent job, or you're looking, maybe you're a student and you could possibly get some bartending jobs or server jobs that you can make some tips and get, you know, a decent amount of money where you can save up. My goal was always like $1,000 a month. Was like from about the time I was 20 to about the time I was like 33 or 34. My goal was to save $1,000 a month into the stock market investing. And some months it was way more than that. Sometimes it was less than that. So, but just to have that goal. But I think the kind of main thing you want to do right away is open an online brokerage account. So I know in the United States, there's like Scottrade, there's Fidelity, I believe, which is a good one. And, you know, just kind of make sure they're online. I think at this point, the commissions are really coming down. The fees are really coming down, which is nice. Yeah, in Canada, there's the main 5 banks have all their brokerages. There's Questrade, there's Interactive Brokers. So open an online brokerage account, because then you can buy low-cost index funds for your savings. So your monthly savings that you're going to save up every check, you're going to pay yourself first, kind of thing. Those are going to go into index funds. So there's the ones I would recommend are the S&P 500 index fund and the NASDAQ index fund. And this is kind of debated, and I think living in Canada too, the United States kind of gets a lot of hate, but they're the best at making money in capitalism, and that's a part of their culture is business. So they're really the best at doing that. I think that's been shown in the last 100 years, and I think in the next 100 years with like Silicon Valley and Apple, Google, and all the big companies are US, that will continue. So the S&P 500 index fund, if you're a little more growthy, the NASDAQ, maybe you can put half and half in, you know. But those are the kind of funds that you need to invest in right away. And to get a little more specific, the S&P 500 one on the New York Stock Exchange is SPY, is the ticker symbol. And the NASDAQ is the triple Qs, QQQ. And there's probably some more lower cost funds in there. I know that the Vanguard funds are also really low cost. These ones I believe are like iTrade funds, iShares funds. Or I think the S&P 500 is a spider fund. But yeah, you want to get in a low cost S&P 500. Those are the funds that you want to put your money into. Once you get $10,000, so you're saving into those funds. Once you get $10,000, at that point you can either just keep doing that, or if you feel like you're more interested in investing in the stock market and business and reading and looking at annual reports and balance sheets and income statements and all that, if that kind of interests you, then maybe you can sell some or all of that 10,000 and buy individual companies. And that's what I ended up doing because I was really interested in it, and still am to this day. Yeah, outside of the comic book videos, like a lot of the things I do is watch stock market news and stuff, mostly for entertainment, because I'm not really going to like switch positions or anything like that. And working out is another thing I like to do, is just head to the gym, which is close by. So yeah, you know what? At this point in my life, I am, as of like a year ago, stopped working. I won't get into too many details about like some of the entrepreneurial ventures I've did, but I think overall some of the businesses I've started have worked out pretty well for me, as far as like giving me a little bit more money to save into the stock market, because I've always been a saver. Just like Benjamin Franklin, like you recognize the value of $1, that's going to help you out in the future, and you recognize the value of being thrifty is I think a virtuous thing, as he said in his books, in the biography. Yeah, you know what? I think that's about it. Kind of a different video for this one. And I thought, I got my $2,000 CGC 9.8 here, New Means 98, which I think was like 800 about. So, and yeah, I was kind of, I wanted to bring out more books, but there's kind of countless books that are like between $500 and $1,000 that I have now. So, getting to this point, really, for me, it wasn't like any magic potion. It was really, I've always had just sort of basic jobs. Some of the entrepreneurial things I've done in the last 5 years did work out for like quite a few years. I was making, pretty great money. So that was good. But all through those times, but I was down, before that, when I had quit TD in my 20s, I was really down at that point, and came home and wasn't making a lot of money at that point. It was literally probably taking a little bit of money out of my stocks, I think, at that point, some months. So that, every now and then you get down, but then, you can come back, you work harder, you get another job, you think of more ideas. And yeah, in my experience, like seizing opportunities and thinking of ideas and participating in, I know it's not a very popular thing maybe, but participating in capitalism, I think, is way better than just whining about it. Just because you can benefit from it literally. Compound interest is a thing, mathematics. So why not just, seize the opportunity, I would say. But, okay, yeah, I know I probably forgot some things, but yeah, hopefully you get the gist of, kind of how I've gotten here, and it, was kind of a simple thing, and now I'm living really simply, and I'm, again, a kind of a minimalist person, so I think with my investments doing really well, and maybe we'll do more investment videos, to be honest, about, certain stock picks even, like I could possibly get into that like later on, maybe. I think there's a lot more like fundamental kind of videos we could do, sort of like this, if this one does okay, who knows. But that'll be all for this video, and I'd invite you to join the team and subscribe to Team CGC 9.8. When you press subscribe, the bell will pop up. Hit the bell for all the latest notifications too. That would be super appreciated, kind of at the early stage of the channel. But thanks for watching this video. I'm kind of ranting on here, but hopefully you can learn a couple things from the video. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.